Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, we are going to present thermal imaging. This is the list members of the group presentation, which is NAZIRAH binti YASMIN, with metric number 206374, NURULAIN BAZILAH binti BAHARI 206040, SYAZANA NABILAH binti JAMEL 206741, AISYAH JASMIN binti MOHAMED SAARI 206877. The essence of these presentations is what is thermal imaging, how does it work, how thermal imaging related to black body radiation, where do we use thermal imaging application. For the introduction, what is thermal imaging? The principle of infrared thermography is based on the physical phenomena that any body of a temperature above absolute zero, which is negative 273.15 degrees Celsius, emits electromagnetic radiation. There is clear correlation between the surface of a body and the intensity and spectral composition of its emitted radiation. Infrared radiation is that part of that electromagnetic spectrum that is immediately adjacent to the red light of approx 760 nanometer on the long wave side of the visible spectrum and extend to a wavelength of approximate 1 millimeter. In this respect, the wavelength range of up to approximate 20 micrometer is of importance to technical temperature measuring. In the second half of the 19th century, it became known that heat radiation and other electromagnetic waves, such as visible light or radio waves, were similar in nature. This was followed by the discovery of the laws of radiation by Kirchhoff, Stephen, Boltzmann, Wien, and Planck. By the mid of 20th century, intensive of successful work on the military use of infrared technology facilitated the building of first infrared viewers. With some distance in time and technology, also the first thermography devices for non-military application available in the 90s. Here are some examples of how the thermal imaging devices look like. Okay. This is another examples of thermal imaging devices that we use to measure the temperature.
Okay, so I will continue with the how does the thermal imaging works. Okay, the thermal imaging works based upon the science of infrared, which is that infrared is an energy in terms of heat. Okay, then the infrared camera will detect the infrared energy of the objects, and then the camera will convert that infrared data into an electronic image and will show the apparent surface of the temperature object that to be measured. Okay, and then we'll continue with the next slide, which is example for thermal imaging image by using the infrared camera. Okay, so infrared is not a non-contact device that can detect infrared energy, and then it also happen when it convert the infrared energy to the visual image. Okay, and then the light and heat that combine to have the infrared both are an electromagnetic spectrum, and then the thermal camera will capture by the infrared energy, then it will appear the image like the example before. Okay, and then we'll continue with the next slide, which is where do we use the thermal imaging.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is AISYAH JASMIN binti MOHAMED SAARI with my matric number 206877. So today I would like to explain to you about how thermal imaging is related to black body radiation. As we all know, black body radiation technology is electromagnetic radiation given off by solid matter at a certain temperature. It is this form of radiation that allows for the visible detection of the temperature coming from any mass, in turn which allow thermography to generate an image that is different. An object may be considered as a perfect black body if it observes all the incoming light without any being reflected. Sources of black body radiation are being employed in thermal imaging and calibrating. When the radiation source has been integrated as a component of the automated testing CI system computerized test executive software optical test bench, it will be used in determining the operational thermal imager characteristic or unit under test. When developing any new thermal imaging method, this facilitates for the testing accuracy of the technology of value as precise as allowed by the source of the black body radiation. The accuracy aspect is very important as it concerns the delicate field of military-based electro-optical technology. The mission's accuracy to produce black body radiation impacts the outcome which the developer can hope to see. So, for example, we can use thermal imaging with our current situation, which is COVID-19 situation right now. When we use the thermal imaging correctly, thermal imaging system generally have been shown to accurately measure someone's surface skin temperature without being physically close to the person being evaluated. So, thermal imaging system offers certain benefit in that other method need a closer proximity or contact to measure temperatures, such as non-contact infrared thermometers or oral thermometers. A great range, for example, between negative 40 degrees Celsius and 1200 degrees Celsius provided by the black body from CI system allow for the designing of imaging technology to pinpoint man-made installation located even in climates that are extremely cold, to the development of optics that can be utilized with satellite for inspecting weapons of mass destruction. The accuracy assists in eliminating false positives while making sure that the technology can determine valid outcomes. They are particularly useful when it comes to designing new technologies dealing with thermal imagery, as they consistently deliver as expected outcomes. The radiation generated is well behaved and within the parameters set by the developer. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SYAZANA BINTI JAMEL with my third number 206741. So today I'm going to talk about where do we use thermal imaging. First of all, electrical maintenance uses for thermal imaging are very extensive. For example, power line technicians use thermal imaging to locate and pinpoint joints and parts that are at risk of overheating as they are already emitting more heat than the stronger sections. They can also help spot loose connection or devices that are starting to fail. Next, thermal imaging is also applied in mechanical and building construction. Mechanical and building construction technicians who work with thermal insulation use imaging to quickly identify leaks, which is important to maintain efficient temperature regulation in a building. At a glance, they can analyze a building structure and spot faults. Heat loss from walls, HVAC equipment, doors and windows are common thermal performance issues that are easily picked up by a thermal imager. Besides that, animal and pest management is a field which has a surprising number of uses for thermal imagers. They can help spot pests or animals in dark roof areas without having to climb up into them, and they can detect potential termite activity. Also, they are commonly used to more easily conduct wildlife surveys in a totally non-invasive and non-intrusive manner. Transport navigation gets significant benefits from thermal imaging, particularly when traveling at night. For example, maritime navigation uses it for clearly seeing other vessels, people, and obstruction during the night while out at sea. In recent years, cars have begun incorporating infrared cameras to alert drivers of people or animals beyond street lights or the reach of their headlights. Healthcare and medicine also have practical uses, such as to spot fevers and temperature anomalies. This has proven to be especially important in airports where these thermal imaging cameras can quickly and accurately scan all incoming or outgoing passengers for higher temperatures, which was crucial during recent outbreaks of COVID-19. Additionally, thermal images have been proven to help diagnose a range of disorders associated with the neck, back, and limbs, as well as circulatory problems. Lastly, police and law enforcement agencies incorporate thermal images into the surveillance equipment used for locating suspects, especially at night, as well as to investigate crime scenes and also for search and rescue operations. They are superior to night vision devices as they don't require any ambient light and are unaffected by bright lights, which is essential for tactical missions.